the day, your photographer wants you to be happy. You want to be happy. But if you don't know what you're getting before you go in, you're not set up to be happy.
Yep.
Especially depending upon your personality type, on how you're going to walk away feeling about these things. Hey, I'm Stephanie Fager, and Empower is my middle name. Okay, well, not really, but it should be. I believe that empowered people empower people, and I'm obsessed with empowering you, the nonfiction author, with impactful marketing strategies to help you take your important message and share it with those who desperately need it, want it, and will buy it. As the owner and chief strategist of the Empower PR Group and the author of 2 books myself, I have merged my love for reading books and writing books and marketing books to help nonfiction authors like you with laser-focused strategies and tactics to write books that sell, promote books to those who need and want them most, and build meaningful businesses from empowering messages. Think of this as your one-stop shop for marketing insights from an author who has been there, done that, and understands exactly where you are. All right, so get your pens ready because I'm ready to empower you on all things photography. This is the Empowered Author Podcast. Our world has become an extremely visual one that makes us a bit more social per se, and now more than ever, photos aren't just important, they matter. From selfies to live photos to headshots and lifestyle branding, photography is a way that we tell stories. And for you, my author friend out there, I want to make sure you have what you need to tell your visual story in a way that complements your written one. This season of the Empowered Author Podcast focuses the lens on photography insights on everything you need to accompany your author branding efforts. Come on, we have a whole lot to talk about. Let's dive in. Chanel, we are over halfway through of this season of the Empowered Author Podcast, and I'm having a lot of fun.
Me too.
It's a lot of fun. And we're on location, which is also fun. I like being on location.
Yes.
I love your studio. I love what you do, and I'm just really excited to be able to share with the author community the importance of photography and how it fits in with everything.
Yep.
But when you and I were preparing for this season, there was, and this is what I do with every collaborator I work with. We come up with what are things people need to know, and you started going down this path of a couple things, and I'm like, well, I didn't know I needed to know that, and I'm like, we have to do a whole episode on what you didn't know you needed to know.
Yep.
About
that's
photography.
A lot. It's complex in ways that people don't think about.
It is.
And I think that's just because, as a photographer, those are all business decisions and industry standards. The average consumer probably won't know, but it's important to educate because we get these spiffs about, well, I didn't know that. Well, that's because you weren't properly educated from the beginning.
Yes, and I hate conflict.
Me too.
If we can just dodge conflict ever.
Yep.
At the end of the day, your photographer wants you to be happy. You want to be happy. But if you don't know what you're getting before you go in, you're not set up to be happy.
Yep.
Especially depending upon your personality type, on how you're going to walk away feeling about these things. So, no, I think that this is a good time in the season to talk about some of this stuff, and I'm really glad that you brought it up. So so I've got 4 or 5 things down here, but of course you throw in any other things that come across that we need to know that we didn't talk about before that you uncover. One of them was branding versus portrait, lifestyle versus headshot. I feel like the author out there that's listening may not know what those words mean, and I think it's important before you go into a shoot to know what you've signed up for.
Yep. I think portrait is a picture. It's a photo of you. It's focused on you as the person. It's going to be minimal as far as what's going on in the background. All focused on the subject, and the subject is you. So that's what you're getting with portrait photography. Portrait photography is fantastic, and there are many spaces for portrait photography inside the entrepreneur realm. We need portraits of ourselves, especially when we are speakers or we are doing different things like that, because they're going to take that portrait, they might cut it out or put it on a flyer or use it to show your business or highlight you on their website or podcast or whatever. And so there are times where we need portraits. But when you compare portrait to branding photography, we add a little more spice to it. So it's focused on you still. You're the main subject in the photo, but in the portrait, you're making eye contact with the camera.
Yes.
You're usually either smiling or relaying whatever emotion it is. So it might be a serious portrait, or it might be a fun portrait. Again, that depends on your brand vibe, like we talked about in the other episode. But we're making eye contact with the camera in a portrait session.
Yes.
In a branding session, it's going to be more lifestyle, which we'll talk about in a minute, but it's going to have more elements into it. So the background might not be so plain. We might sit you at a desk or sit you on a couch or something like that, and we're going to start including more props because we're telling a story.
Yes.
So the portrait is so focused on you, and it does still tell a story because it's conveying those emotions, right? But in the brand photo, we're telling a larger story, and we're incorporating some more additional things into that story. So it might be your laptop, it might be your book, some more elements that go into that, and because it's telling a bigger story than the portrait, which was focused on you.
So like a portrait photo would typically be in a studio. Like I'm thinking of my high school photos, right? Like or family portraits when I went to JCPenney as a kid. You know, I mean, it's more studio based. I guess you could do it on location.
You could do a portrait on location, but definitely anything that's a solid background, something that is totally, when you see the pictures in the background is all blurred out. If you were going to take a portrait outside, you would have a lot of bokeh in the background because, again, we want it to be focused on you.
Yes.
So you could do that on location or in the studio, but a portrait doesn't have all the extra props and things in it. It's just a picture of a really nice picture of you.
And I do think authors need that. That's where a beautiful headshot can come in.
Yep.
Although I have a lot more fun on the branding lifestyle stuff.
Yeah.
Because I care about stories. And I think those have, as a marketer, I have a lot of uses for those. Not saying I don't for the portrait, because you do. We've talked about that earlier. Your Amazon Author Central site needs it. Your LinkedIn profile could use a beautiful portrait. When you go and you're this amazing speaker, you would need that. You know, like these are things that have value with those. But I think it's good to know before you go in what type of photographer, or what types of shoots does your photographer prefer? Because if they're a portrait photographer and you're going for lifestyle branding, it's going to feel different.
Yep. And then because we talk about headshots, I do want to point out the difference between a portrait and a headshot.
Oh, please do.
So there are lots of similarities, except in a portrait, we might show your whole body. We might show the quarter length of your body. In a headshot, it's your head. It's really focused on your face. And so a portrait is more body in there. And so sometimes I need a full body picture. You need a portrait, right? And if you just need the profile picture, shoulders up, that's a headshot.
See, you learn something new every day. I mean, and again, this is why you work with experienced professionals in the industry, because if you go to the table saying you need a headshot, but really you want a portrait, you're going to walk away not happy.
Yeah.
Because it's that's not how the photo was taken.
And that's why I love Pinterest, because I know you as a consumer don't know or might not know the difference between a portrait and a headshot or lifestyle branding. And so when you create a Pinterest board and you say, these are the kind of photos that I need to represent my business, then I have a better understanding of what you were really looking for. Because if you show me all headshots, then I was like, oh, you don't need a branding session, you need a headshot session. For me, in my business and the way I operate, a branding session includes a professional headshot. It includes a portrait session, because I know that you need all of those things for your business. So I'm not making you come back when I got you right here in front of the camera anyway. So a full portrait session is going to give you a professional headshot. It's going to give you the portrait. It's going to give you that lifestyle session over here. Anyway, that's how we operate. Now, if you booked me for a headshot session, you're only getting a headshot, so it's not going to be that full branding. It's something different. Yeah. So branding includes all the things, and a headshot is very specific to what you asked for.
And I think, it's good to educate yourself or find a photographer who's willing to educate along with you. Yep. Again, that goes to finding the right photographer. And before you walk in, having clarity with what you think you need and talking to your photographer about it. That's the best way to uncover what you don't know you need to know and need to know, because that might, if all you need are headshots, well, you just might need a couple tops or a top. You don't need to stress about your high heels. No one's going to see them.
Right.
So that's kind of important. In a previous episode, you also mentioned digital and print. And I want to talk about that, but I also want to talk about on your digital stuff, how you provide stuff in high and low res, which I think both of those are really interesting and would be good for authors to know.
Yeah. Like I said earlier in the other episode, digital images is we're as entrepreneurs, we're using those digital images to create photography in the online space. And so you need a JPEG image most of the time that you can use in all the different places, on your website, on your profile pictures, as a part of the content that you upload into you might put it on your Instagram or wherever you're doing it. So you need a digital image. Print, it's a 5x7, a 4x6, a 8x10, a canvas, acrylic. So there are room for prints. But typically an entrepreneur just needs a digital image. Now, there are times where we're going to print those digital images, and so then we need to talk about, first of all, are you allowed to print those images? Because your photographer will provide you with a print release if they want to give you the permission to print the images. Picture that you print at Walgreens is not the same as the picture that comes from a master print lab that your photographer might use, or your photographer might have their own print set up.
You will find local places asking for these releases when they can tell that they're high quality, because this is your craft. This is what you do. And unless you give them the ability to do that, the release to do that, that's like somebody taking your book and taking all that copywritten stuff and writing it for themselves.
It's like going into the office and photocopying the book and handing it to your friend and say, hey, here, read this book. So instead of the friend going to buy the book, they now read the photocopy version and you didn't get paid.
It's good to know that stuff. So that the author, who's getting these photos, know what they can do with them.
And that affects your investment. So if your investment is higher, maybe it's because they provided you with a print release and they're allowing you to print those images. Maybe they provided you with a commercial release, which is something different, right? And they're allowing you to use the image on the back of your book cover, because that's not included with the regular portrait session. So you have to ask those questions. Can I print this picture on the back of my book? Because if I walked into the bookstore and I seen the picture I took on the back of the book, but I didn't give you permission to put it there, then that's where those conflicts come in. Now, as a photographer, when you come in and you tell me that you're an author, I already know to have that conversation with you. Or are we allowing this, or are we not allowing this? How long do we allow it for? Because it's not always a lifetime thing. So some commercial photographers say, you have rights and usage to this image for the next 2 years, and then after that you can't use this image anymore, or you have to come back and purchase an extended license. That's in the realm of commercial photography, which a lot of brand photographers are commercial, and some of them are not. It just depends. If you work with a lot of small local businesses, then you might not have all the commercial things in place, because that might be outside of the budget of the people that you're working with. But if they work with big brands and they shot Oprah's picture, you best believe
Right, and it's just having your eyes open, because nobody's trying to screw you over, really. That's the one thing that comes to my mind when we learn about this. We're like, oh my gosh. But on the flip side, you don't want people taking portions of your book and creating entire programs around that. This is your intellectual property and your form of artistry, and the same thing with photography. And so having an understanding and clarity around that, and just asking in the beginning, will set everything up perfectly. Hey, Stephanie here, and I wanted to jump in and take a little bit of stress off of you. If you are planning an upcoming photo shoot for a headshot or a branding session, I'm sure you have enough to worry about already. Whether you like to be in front of the camera or not, one thing is certain: to take full advantage of your photo shoot, you want to be prepared. Chanel and I have a quick planning checklist with some tips for you to consider as you plan your next photo shoot, and we want to give that to you. So visit empowerprgroup.com/authorphotography to download it today. I am confident you'll find it extremely helpful. And a side note, it's what I use every time I'm prepping for a new author branding photo session myself. But enough about that. Let's get back to the conversation.
And it protects, and that's why contracts are important, but it protects you and it protects the photographer. And so it's simply a business decision. It's nothing else. Nobody's trying to get over, like you said. No. It's just a business decision to protect my art, to protect your art, and to go forward, because, you know, the image is my image to use.
Yes.
It's mine. If I took the picture, it belongs to me. And it's got your face on it. And that's part of the contract too, is that I can use your likeness to promote my business and things like that. So you want to be on the same page. You don't want no clown photographer who's going to use your face to do some stupid stuff.
That was the other thing you brought up when we were planning, talking about that. And I'm like, I didn't think about that, because I find it valuable for you to share my photos because it helps me. Like again, if you find the right photographer, it's a win-win for both parties.
Yeah.
But if it's not the right photographer, or what if you don't like the photos, or whatever, like, do you understand what they can do with those photos?
Read your contract. Typically, there's a model release that's involved in the contract. And so in that model release, you're signing that you're going to use this photo. So if I take this amazing picture of Stephanie and she happens to be drinking a Coca-Cola bottle, and then Coke sees that picture and they call me and they're like, hey, can we use that? I can sell the picture to Coke. And Stephanie could be on the billboard. So you want to make sure that you're reading your contract and that you understand what's going on in those words. What does that mean, a model release? What does that mean, commercial use? What does that mean, the digital copy? So those are kind of things that you can research. There's all kinds of information on Google about it. And everybody has a different opinion and everybody works differently, but there are laws that are around it. So some places the law is the law, and then some places, you know, it's up to the photographer's discretion. And so you want to have those conversations with your photographer so you can decide, is this the right fit for me?
Yeah, and if you find that you're looking at a contract and there's things you don't understand or they're confusing, ask. It's better to ask in the beginning, and it might be a deal breaker, it might not be. But figure that out before you get to the other side and you go, oh my gosh, now I have to pay more money for this, I didn't know that. Or
that's true. And then, you know, be honest with your photographer. If you think you're going to sell 5 books, maybe a commercial release is not necessary, you know? But if we're talking about we're going to sell 1 million books, then that's a difference. And it makes a difference for you and for the photographer.
Can you think of anything else, if someone's going for photography, that would be good for them to know up front? I mean, these are pretty intense.
Yes. I would say a lot of photographers have a sitting fee. And so the sitting fee is typically, it only covers maybe the location, maybe makeup, maybe the photographer's time, but it doesn't always include photos. So you have to ask what you're paying for and what's included. So for me, in particular, we have a sitting fee, and that includes time, consultations, locations, and it includes professional makeup in some cases with some of our collections. And then separately, we will have a viewing party. So I take your pictures, then we have a big party. And we look at the pictures together, right? And we pick out the images that are going to work best for you. So I might show you 30 pictures, but that doesn't mean you need 30 pictures, right? And so you get to pick what you want and pay for what you need. And so we have different collections that are built to serve you. And then sometimes you can buy extra, or sometimes you can say, no, I don't need that many. Some people, some photographers have a minimum order. And so you can ask them, well, what's the minimum order if they do it that way? It's not a built-in collection. So they might say the minimum order is $600 or the minimum order is $200. It all depends on what they're doing, because a photographer is building their brand and their price based on their lifestyle and what they need to do to take care of their family, because it's their job. Same as you for your book sales.
Absolutely.
So you just ask them, is there a sitting fee? What does the sitting fee include? Is there a minimum order, or are there collections that I get to choose from? Just knowing how the photographer bases their pricing, that helps you to figure out, can I afford this or not? And then I think another big thing is ask about payment plans, because I'm telling you that photography is an investment and it costs a lot of money, but you have to be able to afford it, right? You want to make yourself afford it. So if affordability means flexibility in the payment, then do that. So for me, for my clients, they know what they're getting when they come here, but it might be expensive, and that's fine. But we're going to do a payment plan so we can make it more affordable for you.
That's so, all of that is so good. And things that you just know you need photos. You've got a website, you just know, or a book coming out, and you just know you need a photo. You don't know that you need to be thinking about these things. So I really have enjoyed that we can get in your perspective and kind of dig in a little bit deeper, because I even, as someone who's been doing years of photos with you, you know, am like, oh, I didn't know to think about that. That's important. Yeah. You know, and all of it makes the whole thing run more smoothly. Yes. And that's the goal. We're just trying to empower y'all.
Absolutely. Make it easier.
Yes. So speaking of empowerment, our next episode, we're going to give a couple of tips on, so you get all your photos. What do you do with them? And I'm kind of excited because that's where the marketing happens.
Yes, it's the good part.
That's where I come in. So we will dive into that in the next episode. Listen, there are times when ignorance is bliss, but this time isn't one of them. Before you invest in your author photography needs, make sure to uncover everything that you need to know and didn't know you needed to know. That's what I love about this episode. And I'm so grateful that Chanel took us behind the curtain, per se, and shared with us specifics that every author should be aware of early on when prepping and executing their photo shoots. I have found in literally almost anything in life that open lines of communication and expectation clarity from the get-go can ward off any uncomfortable conversation later. And I don't know about you, but I don't like those types of conversations in the first place. However, also uncovering what you need to know and didn't know you needed to know early on will ensure that your photography experience will run as smoothly as possible. We all know a photo is worth 1,000 words, and too bad, author friend out there, that the photo can't write 1,000 words for you. Am I right? The truth is that photos tell a story, and since you're in the business of storytelling, let's make sure that your author photography tells the right story. A story that aligns with who you are, what message you are sharing, and how people can work with you. Author photography can be game-changing in your marketing tools, a meaningful piece of your website, and a tool that you use in your visibility strategies. Chanel and I want you to get the most out of your photo shoot, so we've compiled a planning checklist to help take the stress out of planning your photo shoot and ensure that you are getting the most bang for your buck. Visit empowerprgroup.com/author photography to get that downloadable. And if you happen to be in the greater Louisville area or are willing to come to us, believe me, we have plenty of authors who do, we'd love to capture your story through meaningful photography. And if Kentucky is too far of a drive, no sweat. We are happy to do a photo planning consultation with you and your photographer to help you achieve the best results that you seek and that you need. We are ready to empower you as you embark on your author photography needs. Now remember, empowered people empower people. I've empowered you. Now, with photos to help you tell your meaningful story, it is your turn to empower others.